Are you ready to go?
I think so. Are we hanging on for Andy, or are we just going?
No, he's coming out of the kitchen in a minute. Or did he go outside?
I can hear noises from the kitchen.
So when Andy's coming!
Come on, Harry, to make him a coffee.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, I've got some milk milk. Well, I'll just kick off and just...
Do you want to stand here?
Yes, rather. Oh yes, there's somebody on the screen as well. So my name's Lucy. I'm part of Team DC, which is the Worcester District Commissioner. So as a team, we are responsible for looking after all of Worcester District. And we've had quite a few changes over the last few years, and things slowed down because of COVID and stuff. And so now we've got a load of energy to really push scouting forward in the district over the next few years, well, and beyond. Now, as part of that, we've decided to set up sort of like some separate teams. So one of those teams is what we call Team 14 to 24. So that includes all of the focus on explorers, young leaders, and network. Because over, I think, the last year or so, as you know, you've started to be, as explorers, you've been assigned to a group rather than just district, but you're also still part of the district. So we just need to make sure that we're creating some fantastic opportunities. Now, one of the biggest opportunities that we started looking at is D&E. Now, this for me is a real passion project because my eldest did D&E through school, and although she had an amazing experience, she actually came back and said, oh, they're not very robust, or oh, it was really hard work, they didn't even know how to attend. And so she was really frustrated because you people have come up through scouting, you've got a certain level of skill already, so you want to be around other people who've got a certain skill level. So it's really nice to be able to push your boundaries amongst people who are at your level. So I'm not dissing what happens at the school, I'm just saying the school does a brilliant job, but if you want to be around like-minded people, I'm really passionate about getting it off the ground just for the scouting people. So with that in mind, county, so that's all of Herefordshire and Worcestershire, started to put provision on, and we looked at what they've got going on and thought, yeah, this is something that I'm really passionate about, because I want you to be able to get your top awards, whether you do Duke of Edinburgh or whether you go down the normal awards route, which we'll talk to you about today. The one thing I can absolutely tell you is it teaches you all of those skills that are life skills. So things like resilience and perseverance and kindness and courage and decision making. And honestly, when you go on to your first careers or even your 10th career, and they're asking you questions about, tell me of the time when you had to solve a problem, or tell me of a time when you had to work in a team, or tell me of a time when something went wrong and you had to get yourself out of it. If you do some of these top awards, honestly, you'll be able to put it all on your CV, but you'll be able to give real examples when that person is sat in front of you asking you these questions. And as a previous person who used to do a lot of graduate recruitment, you could absolutely see the difference between people who have done these top awards and the ones who haven't. So again, that's one of the things I'm really passionate about, is giving you these skills for life. So whenever you decide to leave scouting, you feel like you've got this whole range of skills. And then it ties really nicely into some of the other stuff that we want to do, which is building up the Young Leaders Programme, which gives you some volunteering activities, but also aligning ourselves to other charities and organisations in the area. And one of them we've just seen recently with the Royal British Legion. We did a lot of poppy appeals, but they're absolutely crying out for young people who've got skills, who understand technology, to help get their message out there. So talk about projects like that and volunteering in that way to give some of your skills to some of these other organisations. So there's so many different opportunities, and again, they all look really good on your CV for the future, so why wouldn't you do it? So you're going to be hearing a lot more from me and the other team members, which is Steve, who is largely responsible for network. So when you're 18 plus and you want to go out there and carry on with your scouting, and then hopefully you will know Andy as well, who's actually our District Explorer Commissioner, and they are absolutely spearheading everything that we're doing. So just get used to our faces, because you're going to see a lot of this over the next couple of years. So over to the expert now. I just wanted to introduce myself, and I'm going to just have my coffee now.
I will also introduce Abby, who is joining us via virtual, but unfortunately her camera's not working.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I did just wave, but then remembered that, yes, indeed, my camera is not working. So it's a good start.
So yeah, Abby is ex-Worcester Explorer, currently still technically Worcester Network, aren't you? But obviously not living in Worcester any longer.
Yeah.
And Abby has most of these top awards that we're going to be talking about. Possibly all of the ones that we're going to be talking about, I'm not sure. So yeah, cool. Let's see if this works. Oh. Technology. So today we're going to have a quick look at what top awards you can get in Explorers Network. We're going to have a quick look at how to do the awards, what you need to get, and a few of the sort of odds and ends, like the differences between DV and the Scout Awards and all that kind of stuff, which gets a bit complicated, but we'll try not to make it, we'll try and simplify it as much as we can. And then we're going to look at the expeditions that Scouts Worcester are putting on in the next year. Then how you can find support with doing your awards in general. So, okay, a lot of people focus on the expedition, but there are other bits to the award as well, and we need to support you through those as well. And then a few steps to how you can get started with all that. Okay, so moving on then. So a lot of the awards for Explorers and Network are the same. So I've got a bit of a Venn diagram thing going on. The first ones, which are the ones we're mostly going to be talking about today, are the Chief Scouts Platinum Award, which is Explorers only, the Chief Scouts Diamond Award, and then now the King Scout Award. I don't think that photo is technically the King Scout Award. Everything changed, obviously. So yeah, we've got those three. We'll get into those in a bit. We've also got DV, which links into those awards. Again, we'll talk about that in a bit. Other awards you can get are your Young Leader Belt. So that's if you complete all your Young Leader training modules and missions, that's the top award for young leaders. What else have we got? The Explorer Belt, which that's a 10-day expedition in a foreign country, doing all kinds of projects in the community there, all that kind of thing. So that's that one. And then Scouts of the World Award. Abby, can I get you to talk about that one, seeing as you've just got that?
I can very briefly. Now, yeah?
Yeah, just briefly, it's fine.
Yeah, so Scouts of the World Award is a network-only award, so when you're 18 plus, it's basically an 80-hour project that follows the theme of either environment, peace, and I think they've changed it now to sustainable development. So what happens is, to kick off the awards, you have to go on a discovery weekend. They call it a discovery weekend. It's just basically a weekend camp where you talk about the sustainable development goals and then kind of what goes into planning a project and what you might need and things you might think about. And then you go off, you complete 80 hours towards that certain goal. And then you do a presentation of reflection at the end, what you enjoyed, what you found difficult. And that's the award, basically. It's really good because pretty much whatever you're interested in, there's a project for you. Like you pick your project. It's not somebody telling, oh, like at school, like you have to do this or you have to do that. As long as it fits within those three very broad categories, you're good. So it's a really good award to keep in your eyesight when you turn 18 and you've got your own interests and stuff.
Yeah. And your award, Abby, kind of spearheaded the sustainability stuff in Scouts Hereford and Worcester, didn't you?
Yes. So I'm hoping you're all aware that as a county, we have declared a climate emergency. And as part of this, as Steve said, so we've got some activities on the county website about climate change and the climate emergency. I also wrote a training module for leaders and young leaders about what climate change is and what it means for Scouts. And then we also hosted a climate assembly day back in June, where we invited leaders and young leaders all across the county to come to the climate assembly day and talk about climate change and Scouting in general. So, yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So today we're mostly going to be talking about these four, well, 6, because DFE is 3 different levels, but the Platinum, Diamond, King Scout Award, and the DFE. So, Abby, do you want to kick off with an overview of what you were doing?
I can indeed. Hello, everybody. Here's some lovely photos that you're forced to look at me, I'm afraid. Sorry my camera doesn't work, but Steve asked me to just kind of talk to you all about why you might want to go for your top awards. It's not compulsory, but 10 out of 10 recommends. If you don't want to do them, you don't have to. You're not going to be kicked out of Scouts or anything like that. But if you've come to this presentation, this event, like, hopefully you are thinking that it's a good thing to do, and we're kind of all here to show you that it is a really good thing to do. It's a really good challenge for yourselves, and that there's a lot of support for you to help you get through it and achieve these awards. So obviously, as Lucy said earlier, it does look really good on your CV, but it's more than that. Like, you shouldn't just be doing it for that. It's a really good self of achievement, and it's not just having it, in the black and white writing on your CV or in your personal statement for uni or whatever that, oh, I've got X, Y, Z. It's about having those experiences and learning from them, so that when you get to interview stages and they say, can you tell us about a time where you've had to work together in a team? Or can you tell us about a time where you've had to, you faced a challenge that you've had to overcome, or you've had some group conflict? It's really good that you can say, oh, yes, when I was on my Gold DFE expedition, or when I was completing my skill or physical for my Platinum Award, this is what I faced and this is how I overcame it. So it's really useful for that. So for me personally, that was one of my motivations, but equally I like to have something to work towards and give me a focus and a purpose to my Scouting. Also, it gives you an excuse to get out and do things that you wouldn't necessarily have done, and you can ask people for access to places, or just really get into what you want to do, and it gives you an excuse. It gives you a reason to get out and do it. Also, it's really cool walking on parade and meeting new Scouts when you've got like badges on your uniform, because like, especially as when you get to network age, there's not a lot of adult badges, and even for explorers it's very much limited compared to the Scout sections and younger sections. So it's really nice, like when you go out and meet new people and go, oh, what did you get that one for? Or, oh, I see you've done your SOA award as well, your Scouts of the World award as well. Like, what was your 80-hour project and stuff like that. So it's really cool. Like, and you look smart, and you get bragging rights if any of your friends haven't done them. Or for me, my older brother, he never completed his DFE, so I always win in family arguments in that. So actual specifics, what did I do? So I went through all the stages. I actually did do my DFEs with school, but then through Scouts, I converted them into my Platinum and Diamond, and then onto my Queen Scout Award. So because of that, you can build on them. So it's less, if you wanted to do like direct Gold or direct Queen Scout, you have to do more, or you have to do the same amount, but in less amount of time. So if you start with Platinum, I'm sure Steve will go into this more in detail later, but you do your Bronze DFE and then 2 activities from the International Communities and Values list. And then it's, by the time you get to the Queen Scout, you have to do 6, but that's in total. So if you do 2 for your Platinum, 2 for your Diamond, then it's only an extra 2 that you need to do for your Queen Scout. So I'm hoping that makes sense so far. So for my 6 activities, First of all, as an explorer, Steve and I went to, and other people went to Power Park in St. Peter's and planted a tree. So hopefully it's still there today. And I also went to my old primary school to talk about scouting and scouting in the community. So they were the two activities for them from the communities list of the ICE activities that you have to do. Then I did 2 presentations for my values section. So first of them, I did a presentation to my Explorer unit about Judaism. So I just did a bit of research and then put it in a nice little presentation. And then also as a network group, we went to Prague. So when we came back, I did a little presentation on a Czech scouting values compared to UK scouting values. Then for my international, as a young leader, I went to Iceland, and then I was a staff member for the Essex International Jamboree. So that was my 6 activities that I did. It worked really well for me, and chances are that if you're an explorer or a network member and you've had a pretty good balanced program, you've actually probably done 1, if not 2 of the activities accidentally. You know, if you've been an explorer for a year or so already, like you just kind of do them because they're built into our program. So I don't want you to think that it's like, oh my God, I've got to do these 6 things and they're really difficult and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like you can break them down, space them out, and you can do what works for you. So as I said, 2 of mine were presentations, but if that doesn't work for you, you know, you can speak to your assessor and produce a piece of art or a short video or whatever you want to do. Just have a chat with your mentor and make sure it counts basically within the guidelines. There are guidelines of what what the activity should be, but they're very much, you can make them appropriate for yourself. So yeah, overall, I would say it's really worth it. It's a really nice sense of achievement, achieving any of your top awards, whether it's the Platinum or the Queen Scout or King Scout, as it will be for you all. The reflection presentations are really nice, and you get to like collate all these photos, and you do feel that sense of achievement of, you know, when my feet were really hurting, when we were like at the end of the expedition, or when it was really cold and wet and rainy and I didn't want to go outside and play netball because that was my physical for DFE. Like, I'm so glad I did it. And the celebrations as well. So when you get your Queen Scout, but it'll be your King Scout for you guys, you get invited to Windsor. So if you see the pictures at the bottom right at the screen as you look at it, so you get invited to Windsor Castle. It's a big parade. Everybody's like really smart in uniform, apart from Bear Grylls, but that's another story. See me in the middle chatting to my best mate Tim Peake. So it is a really nice like awards presentation once you get your King Scout. And then after that, you can join something that's called the Queen Scout Working Party. Obviously now it will change to the King Scout Working Party. And this is like, you're seen as like the best of the best. You're seen as like the elite of scouts. So you get to be invited to be involved with certain things. So like they were selling programs at the Royal Festival of Remembrance at St Albert's Hall for Remembrance Sunday. And then recently for the Queen's funeral, I was invited to be part of Operation Feather, which is when we went down and helped staff the queues and make sure everybody was okay. Members of the public were okay whilst they were queuing for the lying in state of the Queen. So yeah, you get to kind of be invited to these cool opportunities that you wouldn't have if you wouldn't have been invited to had you not got these top awards, because you're kind of like on headquarters radar, if that makes sense. So yeah, I hope you it is a challenge. It is, you know, it's something difficult that you've got to work towards, but it's totally doable. And the good thing is you can completely curate it to something that you want to do. You know, if you really like cooking, you can incorporate food into your activities, or, you know, you can really make it your own. So I really recommend it. And you can see how much I'm smiling in pretty much all of these photos, that it is a sense of achievement. Did I do okay, Steve?
Awesome, thanks, Abby.
Thank you.
Cool, yeah, thank you. So, next part of, all right, talking about what these awards are, what you need to do for them, and all that kind of stuff. So, these 3 awards have pretty much the same kind of stuff in. You just do more advanced stuff and more of the stuff as you go through it, and we'll kind of cover that in a bit more detail later. So, you start with platinum, then progress to diamond, then to kings. Sorry, I'm just checking my notes in case I've forgotten anything. So yeah, also links in with the D of E. So each level of the Scout Award corresponds to a level of the D of E award. Basically, to get your platinum, you need the same stuff as D of E bronze and a little bit more. So you don't have to have your D of E, but you have to have done all the same stuff. So we always say you might as well register for the D of E while you're at it and collect that on the way. Cool, yeah. So a bit about ages then, because these awards are a little bit complicated in how old you have to be to get them. So I don't know how well you can see that from over there. But basically for the Chief Scouts Platinum, you can get that any time from when you start Explorers up to age 18, which is when you have to leave Explorers. The Chief Scouts Diamond, you can start at the same time. You finish that when you get to age 25, which is when you finish Network. And then your King Scout Award, you can't start that until age 16. And again, you have to finish that by age 25 to get it. So that might sort of factor into your choice of what level of award you're going for. I don't think any of you in Network, so the end of Platinum probably doesn't concern you too much, but if you are planning to get your Kings and you're not 16 yet, you might want to think about one of the others in the meantime.
Just a quick question. Can you move straight to diamond if you haven't done platinum?
Yes. So I'll cover the specifics of that in a bit more detail in a bit. But yes, that's absolutely possible. Otherwise, if you're a Network member who's never done Explorers, you'd be a bit stuffed. So where it gets a little bit confusing is when we add D of E into the mix. Now, it's not as bad as it looks. But D of E, you can do any of them all the way up to age 25, so you don't have to worry about finishing bronze before age 18. But the other thing that's different is the start of bronze and silver are tied to school years rather than ages or Explorers or anything like that. So you have to be in year 9 to start bronze, year 10 to start silver, and then gold is still age 16 like the King's Scout Award is. So yeah, that's ages of how old you need to be to get the awards. Now on to what you need to do to actually get your award. So yeah, the first thing is you have to be a member of Explorers on Network. This is for the Scout Awards only. Obviously, D of E you can get through school. You don't have to be in Scouting to do that. But for the Scout Awards, you have to be a member of Explorers for 6 months for your Platinum, Explorers on Network for 12 months for your Diamond, and then for your Kings, it's 18 months after your 16th birthday. So that will go for all the King Scout Awards things, and anything like that can only count if you do it after your 16th birthday. So that one's fairly straightforward. There's also nights away, so just general camping that you do in general, you have to do a certain amount of nights away, so 6 nights, 12 nights or 18 nights, and 2/3 of those have to be camping So you can only do a maximum of 1/3 as indoor nights away. But that includes everything you do as an adult leader, as a young leader, as a network member, or as an explorer. Is that a timer or something going?
I don't know, it's something.
It goes.
Okay. Okay. So now on to, sorry, just to finish up on that one. That kind of stuff, hopefully, you will do in general as a member of Explorers or Network. Hopefully, you're doing lots of nights away. The other thing to bear in mind for these is you can't count any of these nights away as well as counting the same activity for something else. So you might just need to do a few extra nights away if you're running low on stuff. Cool. So, next thing I have to do.
So that's, for example, if you did an international camp, one of your international activities, you might spend 5 nights away and that counts for your nights away badge. But when you come to doing this award, those 5 nights can't both be 5 nights away and an international activity. So for the purpose of this award, you pick one or the other. You can't double count the same activity.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. So next thing we have to do, and this is where it gets a little bit more involved, take up a skill over several months. So Abby, do you want to talk about your skills for a second?
Yeah, I've got many skills, Steve. Many.
Particularly the ones you did for your top awards.
Okay. Well, you'll need to tell me. So, can everybody who remembers loom bands please raise their hand?
Can you see us do it?
There are a few hands. I'd say probably about half of the people.
I think they're lying, actually.
Okay. Well, that still makes me feel young. That's okay. So, I had a quick look on EDV, which is the online website to track all of your Duke of Edinburgh progress. And for my bronze skill, I did loom bands, so different loom band design bracelets. Again, this worked for me because it was something I could do in my own time, and was fairly interesting. So I just tried different designs, took photos of them, and tracked my progress, how easy I found them, etc., etc. For my silver, I was part of a school parliament system that was like an after school or a lunchtime thing, I think. And so that was sort of my, it was like democracy debating skill for my silver. And then for my gold DOV, I wrote little articles for the parish newsletter, Newslink, if anybody, I don't actually, to be fair, I don't think it's a thing anymore. So I wrote little articles about what my local scout group that I was a young leader for was doing in the local little magazine. So it just shows that there's a big variety of things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be a specific hour a week if that doesn't work for your time frame. You all busy people with busy schedules, pick something that works for you.
The one thing I'd just like to add on that is we've got so many activities within Worcester district that if you did want to have a go at, whether it's doing some social media, creating some video content, writing articles, all of those kind of things, if you come up with an idea, you might be able to do it and help us out at district level, because we really need those skills, because as Evie can attest, I'm not very good at TikTok. But we need that kind of thing being built, so that's the kind of thing, so you can think really outside the box, stuff that you're interested in.
Although you do have to be a little bit careful with that, because it might accidentally count for your volunteering section instead.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Again, you can't double count things, and especially if it's D&B, they get quite particular about what kind of thing it counts for. So if you're doing it, if there's a skill element and a volunteering element, we probably just need to run it past somebody to check which one they think it works for.
I've heard also people at the senior level have also chosen their driving lessons as a skill.
Yes. So a couple of other thoughts. Somebody, I think Abby mentioned cooking earlier. one option. Things like computer programming, learning to do that, that can be a skill. Driving lessons is a skill. It does have to be something that's in your own time, so not a job and not schoolwork or college work. And it does have to average out to 1 hour a week. It doesn't have to be an hour a week, but it has to be at least that amount of time over the months.
Explorer's Chef Badge is one of my go-tos with Explorers not sure what to do, and I'm sure about getting an assessor to sign it off. So if you're doing that an hour a week and you're bringing your Explorer leader evidence of what you're doing, they can be tracking you and signing off for your Chef's Activity Badge for Explorers, which is quite a large badge in itself. But then they can be either signing that off as an assessor in DAB if they're an assessor, or on the Scouts off War, that's just skill area as well. So there's lots of big things that can double up, and you can be doing more than one thing at the same time, as long as we're not counting two things in the same order.
Another one that I should probably mention is a musical instrument. If you play one of those, you've already sorted probably. So yeah, I have a QR code here. I don't know if anybody wants to bother attempting to scan it now. I'm sure we can send out other links afterwards. But the DAB website has a massive list of lots of ideas you can pick for the skills section. So I would recommend at least looking down there to see if there's anything that inspires you. But again, it can be anything that has a skill element to it, as long as it's not as long as it's not something that would count for volunteering or physical, which we'll get onto now. Cool. So yeah, we have a physical activity. So that can be something like a sport. It could be something as simple as walking to school every day, or something. Again, it's that same kind of thing. You have to do it over several months, and it has to average out to an hour a week. Abby, did you want to?
I can just say that I did netball and rounders after school clubs for 2 of mine, and then I also did. I just checked. I think it was for my silver. I did. You know, the Wii Fit. You know, like with the board. I did an hour of that a week. So yeah, I mean, for me, physical was something. Well, apart from rounders and netball, I had to like actively. I had to add that to my life, if that makes sense. But I'm sure, you know, as we've been saying, look at your weekly plan right now. If there's stuff that you already do outside of school, you know, there's no point adding loads of stuff onto your schedule if you're already doing after school clubs, sport clubs, or learning to drive. Learning to drive is such a good one if that's, you know, within your plan, and that's something you're going to be doing anyway. You know, you might as well track it on this and well, for your skill, and get it signed off. So yeah, have a look at what you're already doing and have a chat with your mentor and see if it can work for DAV.
Yeah. Cool. And then that's the equivalent QR code for that one if anybody wants it. So no. Cool. And then the last one of this sort of group of 3 things you have to do is volunteering or service, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, you have to give up some of your time to help out the community, or even just an individual person. But the focus is on helping other people. Yeah, Abby, did you want to?
I did young leaders because I was doing that anyway. But I know some of my friends volunteered at a local charity shop, and that had the double benefit of A, being there volunteering for DAV, but B, it meant that they had retail experience for when they turned 16 to then get a job. So again, you know, your time is precious. Find something that works for you and find something that is beneficial for you.
Awesome, thank you. I'll just quickly check my notes on that one. Yeah, so like Abby was saying, young leading, if you're already doing that, that's quite a good one, but there are other options you can do as well. There is the link for that one. And now, so this is the kind of table of how much of this stuff you need to do. So at bronze level, you need to do one, you get the choice, you can choose any one of these areas to do for 6 months, and then the other 2 areas are for 3 months. Silver level, the service or volunteering has to be 6 months, but you can choose between the skill and physical. One of the others is 6 and the other is 3, and then King's Scout Award or Gold. So the service is 12 months, the skill and the physical you can choose 1 12 and 1 6. So yeah, that's on top of any time you've done for a previous level of the award. I have got in a little bit how that changes, because this is one of the things, if you skip a level, this is one of the things that you have to do more for, so we'll get onto that in a bit. Cool, other things we have to do. So there's an expedition. So that's kind of moving under your own power. Although they say that, but then horseback is one of the options. So I'm not sure quite how that counts, but broadly speaking, moving under your own power, going out into not necessarily wilderness. Well, it would need to be mostly wilderness at King Scout level, but at platinum, bronze level, you could be just going out into the countryside, and you do a project while you're there, which could be something like, the good one I heard of before was sort of visiting different churchyards and sort of comparing ages on the gravestones there, and sort of compiling that data and doing some statistics on it afterwards, which sounded quite interesting. If that doesn't interest you, I'm sure you can find something more interesting that would. And then, yeah, in between your camping, you have to do training for your expedition, just so we know you're not going to damage yourselves while you're doing it. Then you have to do a practice expedition, and then a for real expedition. And the for real expedition is this number of days. The practice one is usually about the same.
Do the practice evening, sleepovers count towards your nights away?
Not as part of the award. So they would count as nights away, your nights away cumulative badge, but they wouldn't be your award because they're compulsory for this.
But for if we were looking at platinum, for example, would they go towards your nights away for platinum?
No, because it would bronze DOB, which would be part of platinum.
I imagine.
So the way we're doing it, so the way we're doing, obviously, if we do a training camp, then that night away is night away.
Okay.
But probably later one, depending on what we're doing.
Yeah.
But the practices and the qualifier are compulsory parts of getting the bronze DOB.
So keep it separate, basically.
Yeah, because it'd be bronze DOB or you'd be doing it as platinum, but either way, they would be counting the compulsory element. Whereas camping over the training weekend, that's just how we decided to organise it, so that is an extra.
But the mentors, the assessors will be able to help.
We're going to explain that to you.
Yeah. I don't think number of nights away is usually a sticking point for people to get the awards.
Yeah.
Normally, by the time you've done everything, you've been in Scouts for long enough that you
just tick it off.
completely blitz that.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of expeditions, so Scouts Worcester, as in this sort of group of people, are running expeditions in 2023 for the first 2 levels, the platinum, bronze, and the diamond and silver. So those are likely to be walking expeditions, but if we've got a group of people who are really good at horse riding and you want to do it on horseback, we'll try and support that as best we can. But walking is generally, a lot of people see that as a default because most people know how to walk. So
cycling is an option, but you need enough of you in a team who are confident cycling.
Yeah.
Obviously, those of you at fifth, the chances are you'll probably organise it through fifth and do a kayaking or canoeing.
So I'll just add a little caveat to that. If there are any big people that don't want to do the water, then you are absolutely able to come and do the district hiking. And if there is anybody that doesn't want to do the hiking from district but is really keen on doing something on water, then have a chat with Sid,
because there are a few extra elements, like you need a few permits to show that you're actually competent on the water. So it'll either be canoes or kayaks, but it will be a full day's worth of canoes and kayaks in different terrain, different water. But it's an option. You just need to be able to prove that you've done the training. So it's not, if you're fit, you have to do water, or if you're in district, you have to do land. There are options either way for all of you.
Yeah. And if you're from a different group, there's a chance your group might be organising a Sabra expedition. I don't know of any specific groups that are at the moment, other than Fifth and the Water Expedition, but if your explorer leaders are organising that for you, that's an option for you. If none of these work for you, we can try and put you in touch with people from elsewhere in scouting, like Redditch do quite a lot of DV expeditions, so you can go do that there with a team from there. So there's lots of options for the expedition. And we'll get on to our option in a bit. In the meantime, if you want to explore other options, let us know.
So it's a bit further afield, and there's probably one going in Worcester, but I coordinate my DV in one of the districts in Birmingham as well, and I have had people finish off expeditions from here prior to setting up by joining my Birmingham explorers there, because the dates worked. So that there's lots around that we want to, just makes sense to start looking at people you know.
And then the other option, which I forgot about, is if we can't get an expedition for you in scouting, and this bit is DV only, you can join a DV open expedition, which is basically a team of random people who need an expedition come together. They tend to be a bit more expensive, but it's an option if you need to tick it off. Cool. Abby, did you have anything to add on expedition?
Do it whilst you're young. Do it whilst you have weekends, or like if you can. My partner is now, how old is he? 23, 24, 23, and is struggling. So as your young, sprightly explorers, get it done. It's really great fun. Yeah, that's my only thing. I'm very glad I did it when I was an explorer.
Yeah, and I can say I've talked to a couple of people from Network, a couple of other people from Network, and they say their sticking point for doing these awards now is trying to fit in the expedition around their jobs and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely right on that one. Cool. What else have we got? So for the Kings or Gold level, there's an extra bit that you don't need for the lower levels of the award. Now, this is a residential project, so the idea is you go away with a group of people you don't know, in a sort of environment you haven't been in before, and you do a project which probably easier, Abby, if you just talk us through yours rather than me trying to explain what it is.
Sure. So I went on a scout camp. So I was a staff member for Poacher International Jamboree. So I think you're allowed to know / camp with one other person that you know. Or whether that's changed, I don't know. But I think so. If you are really nervous or concerned about that, then you can know at least one person. So as I said, I did my DV through school. So a lot of people, their residential was NCS. National Citizenship Service. I thought that sounded a bit lame, but it might be for you. So yeah, I was a bit nervous about it, going away and not knowing anybody and having to do this project, etc., etc., etc. So for me, it was quite good to go on a scout camp because, okay, I didn't know anybody and I'd never been to Lincoln before, which is where the camp was, but I knew that it was scouts and I knew that I'd fit in and it would be fine. So I worked on the media team, writing the camp newspaper, and it is really fun in it. And again, as I was talking about earlier, when you meet people and you see that they've also got their DV, or other people will come up to you and see that you've got your DV and say, oh, what did you do for your residential? Again, it's another thing as you get older and you have to be an adult. it's harder to find time for it. But again, having your top awards is a good excuse to be like, oh, I really want to go to this part of the UK, or in fact the world, and you know, work on this project, or I'm really interested in, I don't know, like forest regrowth. So I might go to forest and ask them if I can camp there and help with their projects, and that can count towards my residential. So it's a good it's good to have your top awards as an excuse to do things that you really want to do, but might sound a bit weird if you just emailed them asking them to do, if that makes sense. So yeah, but 10 out of 10, I would recommend going as a staff volunteer to a UK camp. You don't have to be over 18 for a lot of them. A lot of them have like youth staff or 50/50s, I think they were called at Poacher this year. And there's a variety of jobs. As I said, I was in the media team, but there were people on in sub-camp teams, on activity bases. You know, it's just a big scout camp, and it's really good fun. You get to meet a lot of people and work towards something. So yeah, that was my residential.
Another type of free residential. I do a lot of voluntary residential in the summer. I used to work for charities. So if you fancy some kind of youth work residential, there's 3 charities I work with. One, if you're part of a volunteer team, from Monday to Friday activity program for disadvantaged children. And there's 2 disability care ones. One where we have half of our children disabled and half aren't, it's all about inclusion, and one with more sort of severe needs and behaviour where you want a one-to-one carer. But those are quite useful experiences themselves for skills for university applications and so on. But those you probably need to at least, you need to be at least 17, possibly 18, but if those are ones later on and you want to know a bit more about those, I'd like to talk you through those individual ones.
Cool. So that's residential. What else have we got? So we've got the International Community and Values List, which is what Abby was talking about earlier on. So for each level of the award, you need to do 2 activities, or 2 more activities as you go up. And then there's like these 3 lists of activities that can count. So for example, an international one might be go on an international camp in the UK, take an active part in that camp. So again, going to a jamboree as staff, for example, would be a great one of that. There's also things like, so the complexity of what you need to do does increase as you go up the levels here. So I think for Platinum, something like Jamboree on the internet would count. I don't know if any of you have done that already, but you might already have one of these in that case. But for like King Scout Award, you would be looking at going on an actual camp and being actively involved in it. So there's a community list. So that's just one example of that list, taking active role growing and developing scouts in your community. So that might link back to some of what Lucy was talking about for, I think you said for skill and volunteering, you could also do something to fit in the community activity here. Now, these are just examples. There's lots of options. For a lot of these, you've got things like go into your section and do a presentation, or do some activity badges with the younger sections if you're a young leader and all that kind of stuff. I would recommend going away and looking at the lists and then seeing what kind of stuff you want to do from that.
So if you're a young leader, that's probably one of the easiest ways to earn young leader missions, but also tick off an ICB at the same time. And it's worth talking to a group, certainly in some of mine. If you wanted to go and run a night for a younger section, you don't need to be a young leader to do that. So you do on an ongoing basis, but if 3 of you in your unit wants to go and put on a night for the Cubs, I'm sure you have a leader in that group that is happy for you to do that. You just have to work around any young leaders there, but there's no reason why, as explorers, you can't be doing things with younger sections, even if you don't want to have an ongoing young leader role. We just would have to plan that in the group how that works.
And then my example for values was organise a series of activities for your unit or another section. So that could be your young leader section, or like Andy was saying, to explore different faiths and beliefs. Cool. Abby, do you have anything to add to that? And I'm just going to check my notes again.
No, sorry. I think I went a bit full on at the beginning, so I hope I haven't
No
confused
worries.
anybody. But yeah, as just to mirror what Andy said, like if you're a young leader, like well, even if you're not a young leader, like these are honestly, for me, these are the easiest parts of the award, because you know you find something that you're interested in, and it's really rewarding as well. Once you've done it and you feel like you've made like a really visible, you know, you can see what you've done and you've achieved something. So yeah, these are so easy to complete for sure.
Cool.
Some of them are more individual, either you own time with explorers, but some you can do as a unit, not many. But for example, international at the first level, you can do a 3-day travelling expedition in the UK, doing projects in local communities. Because that's like a scaled down version of the Explorer Hub. So for something like that, when you have your planning meetings in your unit, get some of these ideas in, because it might be that this is what you can do as a whole unit to support you to do it, so you're doing your fair share.
Or even if it is something you want to do as an individual, or maybe a group of sort of 2 or 3 of you organising that series of activities, have a chat with your unit leader and see if they can fit you in for that. Which they should be able to. They should be glad to support you with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sorry, Steve. I can just add another thing there. I forgot.
Right.
So I'm now an explorer leader up in Nottingham, and one of my explorers last Monday, she's also going to Korea, but she ran a night cooking, doing some Korean cooking. And next term, she's running a night exploring Korean architecture. And she's already got her, I think it's like stage 3 or 4 of the community values. She did D&V through school, and she's done more than enough nights away. So when she does that, just runs an architecture, I think she's just going to research it and then ask the explorers to build it out of paper kind of thing. Once she does that in next term, that's her Platinum Award sorted. So yeah, so that's just another 2 examples of things that you could do.
Yeah. Cool, thanks for that. I just wanted to touch on the bits that are a series of activities, just as an example of how things get more involved as you progress up. So at platinum level, that would be 2 activities generally. At diamond level, it's 4, and at King Scout level, it is 6. Should also mention, these are Scout Awards only, this list. This is not needed for your DB. I think I forgot to mention that. And I think that's a picture of Abby in Prague.
Yeah, that was when we were in Prague. So when I came back, that's when I did the values presentation, comparing Czech scouting values to UK scouting values. But I think this is quite a good example about how you can be a bit, I don't know if cheeky is the wrong word, but so as I said, we went on a network trip to Prague. If I hadn't already had 2 things from the list, so you need to do 6 activities from this ICV list, but it has to be 2 from each category. So I had already got 2 international activities ticked off, but I didn't have. I was missing a values. So that's how I kind of took this opportunity, you know, the international camp, and then flipped it looking at the values to make sure I filled that spot. But if I hadn't got 2 of my international activities, then I could have used this as an international camp for that one. So speak to your mentor, and there are ways that you can make sure that you hit all the right spots.
Yeah. Cool. And then, yeah, so this is what happens if you skip levels of the award. So if you want to go straight in at diamond without having done platinum. In DV, that's silver without doing bronze. So you have to do an extra 6 months in one section of the award. So one of the sections that was 6 months has to become 12. And for your ICV list, you have to do all 4 activities that you would have done anyway, sort of going through. So instead of doing 2 for platinum and then 2 more, it's just 4 straight off. Similar kind of thing for if you want to do King Scout without already having diamond. So you do an extra 6 months in one of the sections, one of the 12-month sections, and then you again have to do the 6 activities total there. And then, yeah, like Abby was saying, the ICV activities have to be from so there's the 3 different areas, and they have to be from different ones. So at platinum, you just have to have 1 activity each from 2 of the areas. When you get to diamond, you have to cover all 3 areas, and then you've got 1 extra one in an area of your choice. And then when you get to King Scout, you have to have 2 from each area. So yeah. And then, so we kind of touched on this already, but there's 2 options for getting these awards. One is you have your D.A.B. already, or you get your D.A.B. through school while you're a member of Scouting, or at any time really, and then you do these, be a member, do the Knights Way and do the ICV lists. So that's one option. The other option is basically do these 3 things and then do the equivalent of what your D.A.B. would have been. So if you've already got your D.A.B., it's quite easy to convert that into the Scout Award as well. If you don't, then I always say you might as well get your D.A.B., but you don't have to. Cool. How are we doing time-wise, actually? Oh, wow. I've been waffling for quite a long time, apparently. Does anybody have to disappear at 4?
There's 1 parent outside in the car,
Okay.
but I think a lot of people stay before or afterwards.
Yeah, well, they're welcome to come in and hear the end of it if they want to. Okay. Abby, do you have anything else to add on any of the bits of the award we've covered so far?
No, sorry, I've waffled as well. So you crack on.
Cool. So hopefully not too much longer, but we're just going to cover the expeditions that we as Scouts Worcester are organising. Again, just to say they are an option. You have other options if you want to take them. So this one, so for the Platinum Award and also D.A.B. Bronze, so I should clarify there that you can do it towards your Platinum or your Bronze or both. It's going to cost about £110. We'll sort of refine that a bit as we get towards actually running it and knowing where we're going and all that kind of stuff, because we want to get you, the people who are doing the expedition, to pick the location of it within reasonable limits.
It's going to cost you more.
Yeah. I'm not sure at bronze level, do they get a bit funny about going international? Because they don't expect people to be that ambitious.
And it's only a couple of nights, isn't it? 3 nights, isn't it?
One night.
Oh, yeah, it's a long way to go.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a training weekend which we'll figure out where we're going for that. It's just going to be 18th to 19th of March. There we go. I did write it down. That's going to be sort of making sure you've got the skills to go out and do a walk and like navigate your way properly, be able to handle any emergency situations that come up, all that kind of stuff. Then we have the practice expedition on the 15th and 16th of April. So you will choose where to go for that, although we might put some constraints on it for somewhere that's reasonable for that level. You'll plan your route, you'll plan a project, all that kind of stuff, then you'll actually do your expedition. And then, assuming all that goes well, there's a final expedition in May, 27th, 28th. Similar thing, you plan where you're going, plan what you want to do for your project, and then do that. And then, so I should mention that it's not always exactly one practice expedition. Some teams do need more than one practice expedition. And if your team does, then we'll convert that to another practice expedition and we'll put another date in the calendar for the actual final expedition. And then once you've done that, there's a presentation where you talk to your mentor, or you can present it to your Explorer unit if you want, or it's your choice really who you present to, about what you did and the results of your projects and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, bear with me, I'll just check my notes again. Yeah, okay, I think that's all for that one. Now, the diamond and silver one looks quite similar. The only thing is the expeditions are a little bit longer. So we're going to use the same dates, but we're going to add in, I think that's Friday the 14th and Monday the 29th, which is bank holiday, something like that. But yeah, it's 14th to 16th of April, 27th to the 29th of May. The price is a little higher to reflect that you're there for longer. Yeah, and that's that one. And then if you do want to do a King Scout Award or Gold Expedition, we're not sure that we're going to have enough people to put a team together. If you do, email us.
Maybe
the email address
when they're all a little bit older, we'll have a team.
Yeah, I hope so. But yes, we would really want to put a team together. If we can't, we'll go with trying to like catch a place off of Redditch network or something like that.
Yeah, joint counting.
Yeah. So we will find a way to get you your expedition. It might not be next week, kind of thing. So support for the rest of the stuff, the rest of the parts of the expedition. So you can talk to your Explorer leaders. I said at a unit meeting that I guess they tend to be quite busy people at a unit meeting. So get in touch with them somehow, ask when would be a good time to talk to them about doing your awards and all that kind of stuff. And hopefully they'll be able to find some time to like work out what you need to do and talk you through all of that and mentor you basically. Yeah, the other option you have is the top awards team, us, and probably a few other people I'm losing track at this point. So yeah, you can email us at that email address, supportingplusawards@worcesterscouts.org. So we can talk over email, we can arrange a virtual chat, or if lots of people want to talk to us, we can arrange like a drop-in session where we put a night aside at the Hive or somewhere and people just come along and have a
And
time.
I'm certainly very keen on dropping into more unit nights in this new year, especially like offloading as I'm doing face-to-face. So while I'm visiting, I'm quite happy to talk to you at the same time, because I won't be trying to run the night the same as the other leaders there.
Yeah.
So that's a very happy
good shout.
purpose of that chat deciding on those.
Yeah. Cool. And then I guess I should mention at King Scout level, there's like a page you can register on the county website, and they will make sure you've got support at county level as well for that, which might end up being the same people, who knows, but it might not. And then, yeah, steps to like get started with your rewards then. So, first one I would say is register for your D&B. So you do that on the county website, there's a link, and again we'll try and get that sent out afterwards as well. It's about £30 or £35 depending on the level you're registering for, but I would do that sooner because things can't count towards your D&B until you're registered for that.
That's the difference. So if you're 16, say, and you're wanting to earn a platinum award, you can count anything from Times Explorer because that's a Scout award. But
Yeah.
Duke Member is a separate body. If you're not registered with them, we can backdate a month or so, but we can't count years back because it's not a Scouting award, it's an award we're doing through Scouting. So you need to be registered so that we can count anything from the registration date.
Yeah, so when you sign up, that'll come through to, it'll go to county originally, but then your records and stuff will come through to us, and we can make sure you get the right support there. And then expedition. So we'll be sending out an OSM event soon for the district Platinum and Diamond expeditions. Again, if you want King Scout expedition, email us. But if you want the other 2 levels, just sign up to that OSM event when it comes out. Shouldn't hopefully be too long. I'm sure I had another thing I was going to say on that, but it's gone out of my head. So we'll see. And then you have to actually decide what you want to do for your award. So this could be a conversation with your award mentor, or you might go online and look at the list of activities and see one that looks interesting, but do talk it through with your mentor just to make sure it's all okay and it does definitely count for what you want to do.
But I think the key thing is we've got the dates booked for the expedition, but everything else we can start working on now. If you want.
Yeah. Yes. Cool. That's all I had to waffle about.
You did a great job.
Thank you. Any final notes from you, Abby?
Sign up, do it. It's great, and I'll see you at Windsor in a few years' time.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Abby.
Thanks, Abby.
Thank you for having me.
And then, yeah, does anybody have any questions you can ask now, or
It's a lot to process, I guess.
or you go away and think about it and email us?
What happens if I cannot meet the date?
You would have to use one of the other options. So we can find you an expedition with other scouts. You can join an open expedition, or if there's a group expedition going on, you might be able to join that kind of thing. But we wanted to try and get them out before the end of the year, just to sort of minimise that. Yeah.
So yeah, you might not do it with this exact group, but there will be other groups that you can join,
Yeah.
even if it's 4 of you or 6 of you that go on.
And I guess the other thing, the other possibility is you can get started on the other bits of your award now, and then do your expedition a year later. That's definitely possible. You do have until you're 25 to do them, apart from Platinum, which is the odd one out there. Any more questions? That looks like a no.
I've got a question. How many hands here are staying on the board? So I have pizza to cook. Okay, good, excellent.
Cool. Right, yeah. So yeah, sorry I waffled for slightly longer than I expected. Thank you all for actually listening to that. I was amazed you sat quietly for far longer than I
That's
thought.
one skill they teach on, listening skills.
So yeah, awesome.
Should we give them a round of applause?
There you go. Right, I'm just going to switch all the technology off now. So again, thanks for joining us, Abby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, there's the toilet.